Divers, many thanks for joining us. You're watching our weekly program Talk to OBN on OBN Horn of Africa media channel. In this edition, we're going to discuss about the 36th ordinary session of African Union, Head of State and Head of Government Assembly here in Ethiopia. It has been undergone under the theme accelerating the implementation of African continental free trade. Among others, about unconstitutional change of government has been discussed. Terrorism is another issue which has been discussed on the summit. Climate change, Agenda 2063, AU-led peace talk which had been undergone between TPLF and the federal government, AU versus United Nations cooperation, where the major issues discussed on the 36th ordinary session of African Union Assembly, Head of State and Head of Government session. During our stay for 2 days on February 18 and 19, we have had a conversation with delegates of various member states, representative of political affairs of African Union, IGAD and others. Stay tuned, don't go anywhere. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We are going to discuss about the AU session, the 36th ordinary session of African Union, the major topics raised during the session. Before that, I need you to tell us about your profile, career, and position in IGAD.
Okay, so thank you for having me again. This is not the first time I'm speaking to OBN. My name is Noor Mohammed Sheikh. I'm the spokesperson for the IGAD Executive Secretary. IGAD, is an 8-member bloc, and Ethiopia is a very important member state.
Okay, the 36th ordinary session of Head of State and Head of Government Assembly is being undergone under the theme accelerating the implementation of African continental free trade. What's your take on?
Oh, this is a very important agreement. This agreement is about integrating the African continent in terms of trade, in terms of its people, in terms of innovation. This continental free trade area is the largest free trade area in the world. So we have to be proud of our leaders, of the assembly, in the first place for member states ratifying that agreement. It's now operational, so we have to make sure that it's implemented. So once this is fully implemented, Africa will create its own internal market. We will start trading with each other. And our industries will benefit. We shall create more industries. The continent will industrialize, and we shall create a very inclusive economic zone whereby refugees, displaced populations, women will all take advantage to create a prosperous continent.
Okay, among the issues raised during the session, cessation of hostility between TPLF and the federal government has been appreciated by many states, including by Secretary of UN Antonio Guterres and African Union Commission Chairperson Musa Faki Mohammed and the Prime Minister of Ethiopia Abiy Ahmed. And IGAD played a pivotal and an instrumental role in mediating the TPLF's and the federal government's conflict. What was your take and what was your role in mediating this Pretoria Accord?
Thank you so much for this question. Look, from the beginning we've said that the best solution is a political solution. It's a negotiated solution. And we have to really give credit to the leadership of this country, especially in the person in the name of the Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, for taking the initiative to set in process a negotiated kind of approach to this. And what we saw in Pretoria on the 2nd of November last year is an Ethiopian-led, Ethiopian-owned process. IGAD facilitated, together with the African Union and of course other partners who are observers, the US, the United Nations, but by and large this was wholly Ethiopian-led, Ethiopian-owned process, and that's why every single leader yesterday, the chairperson of the African Union, the Secretary General of the United Nations, the outgoing chairperson of the African Union, President Macky Sall, the incoming chairperson of the AUC, President of Comoros, each and every speaker really appreciated and commended the role of the Ethiopian people and especially the leadership of Prime Minister Abiy and of course the leadership of the TPLF.
Africa hasn't got an international media which represent the continent into the global arena, and still other international media are telling African stories in their way. And Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and others recommended Africa to have its own global media which tells its folks and rhetoric. What's your take?
No, that's actually very, very important. And it's not the first time that this has come up. It's not just about the media. We need our historians to write our histories. We need our scientists to write our innovation. And of course, we need our media to tell our story. And what you are doing as OBN is a great job, and I must commend you because you are broadcasting in Swahili language, in Arabic, in Somali. So the great work that you are doing, and this has to expand across the continent. And so congratulations yourself for telling the African story.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Thank you very much. Nice meeting you.
Okay, would you tell us a while?
Well, my name is Alpha Kanu. I am the Minister of the Northwest Region in Sierra Leone. At the same time, I'm also the presidential spokesman for President Julius Maada Bio of Sierra Leone.
African Union summit had been undergone under the theme accelerating the implementation of African continental free trade. What's your thought about it?
I think it's a very important aspect of development for Africa to work together, trade together, in order to buttress the concept of African unity. Unity doesn't only mean political unity, we also mean to have economic spaces open so that every other country has the right and ability to work and trade among ourselves. Africa has 48 to 55 countries, but every one of them is close to the other. We need to open up the spaces for the free movement of people, for the free movement of goods, and also to trade among ourselves. Africa trades very little among ourselves. We trade more with the outside world. International trade is much higher in terms of percentage, annual percentages, than what we do within ourselves. So I think the theme for this conference is really well thought out, and I believe that it is a fundamental framework for Africa to move forward in its quest to develop the continent.
Okay, among others, it would leverage the job opportunity throughout the continent. What is your insight?
I agree with you. Because we have very close spaces among ourselves, we do not have free movement of labor. And we do have experts in different areas, in different countries. If we interrelate among ourselves, our people will not need to be looking for greener pastures outside of the continent. They will look within ourselves, they will interchange our skills and develop and support each other so that we can build a stronger and sustainable African economic progress. So I believe that yes, opening up the spaces will increase labor possibilities, at the same time give an opportunity to reduce the inherent job poverty for our youth in Africa.
Among the major challenges, the bottleneck in Africa is unconstitutional change of government and terrorism in Sahel region. And what ought to be done to ban such bad activities undergoing there in Sahel?
Well, I think that the leaders of Africa today, they have the African Union Peace and Security Council, under which they devise strategies to discourage the unconstitutional changes of government. Governments are not like traditional leaders. Traditional leaders are there forever. But democratic governments change every so often, 4 years in Nigeria, 5 years in Sierra Leone. And so people have to be patient with. When you do have an opportunity to run and rule your country, you should be given that opportunity to finish your term. And when that finishes, other people who have other ideas can ask to be voted in. So I believe that democracy should be the bedrock for us in Africa, and the unconstitutional changes of government are not the best advised approach for Africa.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
What's your name and where are you from?
My name is Ambassador Rabiu Dagari. I'm from Nigeria. I'm the Director General of the Directorate of Technical Cooperation in Africa under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Unconstitutional change of government in Africa is becoming a very severe problem. What's your take on?
Yes, I think it is a very sad development to see the reversal of the democratic gains in Africa, particularly in my region. You know, we have about 30 countries, Guinea, Burkina